Judge of the nations, we remember before you with grateful hearts the men and women of our country, who in the day of decision ventured much for the liberties we now enjoy. In these perilous times, light the flame of love and compassion for each other in every heart. Help us in the midst of our struggles for justice and truth to confront one another without hatred or bitterness, and to work together with mutual forbearance and respect. Let not our lesser loyalties, even when good, be mistaken for our loyalty to you. Grant that we may not rest until all the people of this land share the benefits of true freedom and gladly accept its disciplines. Amen.
Amen. You're in for a real treat. We have the great performer from Broadway come all the way to Augusta to be with us. Everybody knows who he is. He's Russell Brown, and he will make one or two presentations with a great song. So if we can have that now, please.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. America, oh, beautiful for patriotry, that beyond the years thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, God shed his grace on thee, till selfish gain no longer stain the banner of the free,
Right now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Jimmie Dyess events and Jimmie Dyess himself before we show you the video. It's been now 15 years that we've had this symposium. It's been a great success. It's raised a lot of money for the museum, but we sometimes forget to thank the people who helped honor Jimmie Dyess. So at this moment in time, I'd like to spend 2 minutes doing that. First, I want to thank Jimmy Lester. Jimmy Lester is not with us today. He is passed. But he was the one that got the Jimmie Dyess Parkway going when he was on the board of the transportation of the state of Georgia. The next person I want to thank is Bill Leshaft. He was the one that came up with the idea of having a Jimmie Dyess Symposium. And that was important because we wanted to have it, we wanted to honor him, and we wanted to raise some money. Lowell Doran had a role in this regard because he said, let's have the symposium, but let's raise some money also, as I recall. And then, of course, Connor Smith, my wife. How about an applause for Connor Smith? She is about 7 levels above wonderful, and she's been my wife for 65 years, and every idea that every bad idea I have, she tells me it's a bad idea. But when I have a good one, she says nice things. The next person I want to mention is Mark Albertson. He's a tall fellow in the back. He's the one that did the Jimmie Dyess video for me. He's actually done 6 videos for me. If you ever need a videographer, he is the guy. And he's in the back, and you can't miss him. He's really tall. Nancy Glazer needs a round of applause, please. She has been wonderful through it all. We have a great working relationship. And finally, Wright McLeod. Is Wright McLeod here today? He was going to try to make it. Anyhow, we've just gotten wonderful news. Wright McLeod is an attorney, and he has found a man who just recently died who had a major bequest. And the major bequest is coming here. And I can't give you the number, but it's a very healthy number. So it just shows you that if you're going to put something together to help honor somebody like Jimmie Dyess, you get a lot of help, and I've had a lot of help as we go forward. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the business with Jimmie Dyess. We have a nice video, if we could go with that, please.
2 tangible symbols of sacrifice, representing the ultimate offer of one's life for others. One of those symbols is the cross of Christ, and the other is the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's likely that when he first uttered those words, the Medal of Honor was more widely recognized than it is today. But to those who have heard the stories of brave American service people who, in the heat of combat, performed astonishing acts of selflessness to aid their embattled comrades, that symbol shines as brightly and significantly as any other in American life. Signed into law by President Lincoln in 1861, the medal was first intended for Navy personnel, but soon after a similar decoration was established for the Army. The medal was bestowed much more frequently in those days, but by the time an Air Force medal was established, a century later, the existence of other military decorations made the Medal of Honor our nation's highest and rarest military honor. Fewer than 3,500 Americans have ever been chosen to wear this hallowed emblem, many of them posthumously. But despite its rarity, the ideals it symbolizes are alive in each and every person who serves this nation in uniform. Namely, the capacity for courage, selflessness, and sacrifice that are the hallmarks of service. There can be no doubt, as we pause to take stock of our lives as Americans, we can find profound inspiration in these stories, and perhaps recognize some of those prized characteristics in our civilian lives as well.
It's well known throughout the Augusta area that Jimmie Dyess is the only person in history to have received America's 2 highest awards for heroism, the Carnegie Medal and the Medal of Honor. What is not widely known are his many other accomplishments. His heroism started early. In fact, at the age of 13, he saved someone from drowning. He earned the rank of Eagle Scout the following year, a very special accomplishment for someone so young. At the Academy of Richmond County, he was a cadet officer, a scholar, and a fine athlete. Later, at Clemson College, he was a high-ranking officer in the Clemson Cadet Corps, a varsity football player, and an All-American marksman. In 1930, Dyess led the Southeast College team to victory in the National Marksmanship Championship at Camp Perry. At age 19, Jimmie was walking on the beach at Sullivan's Island when he saw that 2 swimmers were in trouble. Without hesitation, he swam far out to try to assist them. The long swim back with 2 women in tow was exhausting. For his successful act of selfless valor, he received the Carnegie Medal. Dyess was a very modest man. Many of his closest friends did not know he had earned this iconic medal. In 1934, at the First Presbyterian Church in Augusta, he married Connor Cleckley. In 1936, he became a member of the Marine Corps Reserves and a leader of its highly ranked marksmanship team. With war clouds on the horizon in the autumn of 1940, First Lieutenant Jimmie Dyess was called to active duty. Dyess quickly moved up the ranks. By the spring of 1943, he was a lieutenant colonel in command of a battalion of 800 troops in the 24th Marine Regiment. He commanded with great confidence and compassion. He loved his troops, and his troops loved him. In January 1944, the 4th Marine Division sailed from San Diego. The destination, the Japanese-held Marshall Islands. Dyess led his Marines from the front as his battalion stormed onto the heavily defended island of Roy Namor. As dusk approached on the first day of the battle, he realized that Marines from another battalion were in serious trouble. Fighting his way through enemy lines, Dyess rescued 4 seriously wounded Marines who were surrounded by the enemy. On the last day of the battle, as he was leading his men against a Japanese pillbox, Jimmie Dyess was shot and killed. A few months later in Augusta, his wife, Connor, received the Medal of Honor. Jimmie's younger sister, Sarah Ewing, often commented that there was a pattern in Jimmie's life. From an early age, whenever anyone was in danger, he felt compelled to take action, no matter the risk. Jimmie Dyess's heroism has been recognized many times since his death in 1944. Shortly after the battle, the airfield on Roy Namor was named in his honor. Dyess Field remains active today in support of space activities of NASA and the military services. The ship, the USS Dyess, was commissioned in 1945. This destroyer served America for 36 years and saw action in the Vietnam War. In 1997, the headquarters of the 24th Marines in Kansas City was named in his honor. In 1998, the Jimmie Dyess Parkway in Augusta was opened. In 2004, Clemson University awarded Dyess its highest award, the Doctorate of Humane Letters. In 2005, on the second floor of the Augusta Museum of History, a permanent exhibit was opened. This exhibit honors Dyess and 2 ships, the USS Augusta and the USS Dyess. In 2011, the first Jimmie Dyess Symposium was held. Every year at this symposium, a Medal of Honor recipient is honored for his lifetime of contributions to America and his fellow citizens. Also at this symposium, 2 outstanding citizens who have a connection to the Augusta area are honored. In 2015, the book Courage, Compassion, Marine, The Unique Story of Jimmie Dyess was published. Also in 2015, a revised version of the DVD Twice a Hero was released.
On August 9, 2022, a historical marker was dedicated at Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, just a short distance from where Dyess rescued 2 women from drowning in 1928. Nearly 200 people, including many military and civic leaders, attended the unveiling ceremony, which took place near the boardwalk at Station 18½. This 2-sided cast aluminum marker is designed to last for over a century. It displays a color image of Jimmie Dyess when he was a student at Clemson. Also displayed are the emblems of the Medal of Honor, Carnegie Medal, and the Eagle Scout Award. This is the ideal location for beachgoers to view both sides of the marker. In the decades ahead, thousands of people, young and old, will learn the remarkable story of Jimmie Dyess.
In summary, Augustan Jimmie Dyess epitomizes the nobility of public service. It is most fitting that his legacy is preserved. It is hoped that Marine Lieutenant Colonel Jimmie Dyess will serve as an inspiration for all, and most importantly, as a role model for young Americans for decades to come.
Before I introduce introduce our absent guest. I've got to tell you that if you want a copy of the book about Jimmie Dyess, there are copies out there. They're for free. Please take them. But I have to ask you one thing. Read the book and then pass it on to somebody else. But it's a gift from the family to you all. One quick story before I introduce our absent guest. When I was doing the book on Jimmie Dyess, I called the Carnegie people and I asked them how many people have received the Carnegie Medal who also received the Medal of Honor. And they said, nobody. It can't happen. Andrew Carnegie was a pacifist. He had a very strict rule. You did not give the Carnegie Medal to a military man. It can't happen. I said, well, I gotta tell you, I'll send you a picture, but I have both of them in my room. And they said, well, how did it happen? I said, well, he earned it when he was 19 as a civilian, and then he earned the Medal of Honor many years later in combat. And they said, well, we never thought about that. How about that? So then I called the Medal of Honor folks. I said, now tell me how many people who earned the Carnegie Medal and the Medal of Honor? They said, what's the Carnegie Medal? They didn't know what it was. The Carnegie Medal is well worth talking about just for a minute. It's been given out since 1904, so it's been given out for more than 120 years or so. They give about 11,000 people have gotten the medal over the course of the last 120 years. It's very, very hard to earn the Carnegie Medal. You have to, at great risk to your life, save or attempt to save others. 20% of the people who are Carnegie recipients earn their medal posthumously. It's very, very difficult to earn. The Medal of Honor is even a more difficult one to earn. 3,500 soldiers and sailors and Marines have earned the Medal of Honor in a period of about 170 years. There are only now 61 living recipients, and one of the ones that we wanted to have come was Jim Taylor, who's really a good guy, and he's a friend, but he's 87 years old and he's got serious heart problems, and he called me recently and said, I can't make it. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to a wonderfully compassionate, courageous guy by means of video. Jim Taylor, please.
Well, I had a very simple childhood. My mother and father were hard working people. As I grew up out there, we learned how to work hard, play hard, and to trust each other. The person I think that helped me out the most in my life is my coach. Thanks to Coach Ed, and teaching me the true value of teamwork, teaching me the value of going forth, being counted for. Don't sit back and wait. When you see a situation that needs to be taken care of, take care of it.
The lessons of his boyhood learned, James Taylor joined the U.S. Army ready to serve. As a lieutenant with the 1st Armored Cavalry, Taylor's first major contact with the enemy would become his most storied. On November 9th, 1967, as his troop labored through the rice paddies and rivers near Quezon, Taylor came face to face with an unexpected enemy.
I was the executive officer of Troop B, 1st Squadron, 1st Armored Cavalry. We had received information from intelligence that the North Vietnamese were moving south and preparing a major offensive action against us. So we were, as an armored cavalry, we were assigned the role to seek out, to find, destroy the enemy. And we were in the very rugged, very hilly area, surrounded by rice paddies, intermittent streams. And as the troops were taking position, all of a sudden, what we thought was just a hillside opened up. And they had weapons concealed, and they began firing. We were ambushed, we took a lot of casualties. I was was responsible for getting the wounded out. And if I saw a situation that needed immediate attention, then that's where I go.
With armored vehicles ablaze all around him, First Lieutenant Taylor ran from tank to tank and extracted the wounded. Dodging the relentless mortar and rifle fire, Taylor continued to rescue soldiers from burning vehicles, even after being painfully wounded by a bursting mortar round. Then Taylor relocated the medical evacuation site to a closer position, delivered the wounded, and pushed onward, undeterred by the enemy's escalating viciousness.
Whenever a situation arose, I took care of that. And if something else came up, we'll take care of that. To be honest with you, as I look back on it, it's just kind of a blur. When you're in a situation like that, there's a lot of things going on. You know, when you've got machine guns that can fire 1,000 rounds a minute, and you've got automatic weapons fire, you react to a situation. You know what you're going to do. Yeah, you believe in this, and you make it happen. When I was looking at these guys that I had trained, I knew their families, you know, I knew their wives, I knew their girlfriends, I knew that they had children, and I was going to get them back to their wives. Now, if they're going, we were going. It's hard to believe the feeling when President Johnson placed this ribbon and medal around my neck. It's awesome. I don't know why me, because there's others very deserving. I have a grandson 22 and a granddaughter 10. But I don't want them to believe their grandpas over here in this category. I am, but I'm not. Because I'm one of all the millions of veterans. I'm one of them. I carry this thing, I wear this thing. So I don't want them to put me up there above the other veterans. I'm part of the team. I knew it was my time to be counted for. I mean, I had to get up and do something. I wasn't going to sit there and see my troops go. I mean, if we went, we were going together. We went in as a team, we're going out as a team.
Jim Taylor told me he was really, really sorry he couldn't be here. He knew the Jimmie Dyess story well. He knew Connor well. He knew me well. But he just couldn't make it. We're now going to turn over to our local distinguished Americans. And we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with Mac Bowman first. And Mac has a very quiet voice, so I've encouraged him to speak loudly into the mic. And he's a very modest guy. I was asking who we ought to honor this coming year for this event. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have somebody from the medical community? So I asked around, and the unanimous choice, without a question, was Mac Bowman. That was the guy we had to honor, and so we're going to do it today.
Good evening, General Smith. It's a privilege and an honor for me to be here sharing time with you all this evening. I think first, foundationally, I think of that place from which one comes, from which one emanates. I think of my mom and my dad, who also served in Vietnam at the time Lieutenant Taylor did. And probably thanks to some of his heroics, my dad was able to come home 2 times from Vietnam. But I think of being born in a small town in South Georgia that you never heard of, Meigs, Thomas County, Georgia, the home of J.L. Pilcher, who was the second longest server in the House of Representatives. I think of growing up, having never seen a physician, a doctor, until I was 7 years old. I told the story of the big kids not letting the little kid play. I was 7. I zigged when I should have zagged as the big kids were playing horseshoes. Got cut under the eye. My mom came to take me to the doctor. I'd never seen a doctor. I was born on J.L. Pilcher's plantation in Meigs, Thomas County, Georgia, delivered by a midwife. The physician was kind. He was compassionate. He put my mom at ease, and hence he put me at ease. And as he left the door, 7-year-old African-American boy from Meigs, Thomas County, Georgia, in separate waiting rooms, one for people of color, one for Caucasians. I told my mom, that's what I want to do when I grow up. She could have said a variety of things. You can't do that. You're too poor, you're the wrong color, you're this, you're that. but she said something that stuck in my mind forever. She said, if you do with what you should do with what God has given you, you cannot be, you will not be denied. That was my mantra. Then, all through my young life as an athlete, in Thompson and at VMI, as a football player, but also a scholar, I knew, I didn't say I wished or I wanted to, I knew that I would be a physician. And so God blessed me, General Smith. He put great people around me. He put wonderful colleagues like David Clark. He put friends and colleagues, Ron Spearman, Ben Rucker, physicians who are here. We've labored in the trenches for more years than we would want to admit. Ron Spry, my family, my wife, my daughters, my son, Ed Gillespie, who led a great high school at university, and we're trying to get by as Piedmont, but we're going to do all right. Rex Teasley, who taught me more from watching him in the Heart Lab, a magical man with his hands and fingers, and some of the magic that he allowed me to assimilate into me. But this is just to say, when God positions you and you're brought forward as he would have you come forward, you realize who you work for, who I work for. And as I've labored in my days, David, Ron, Ben, Reverend Spearman, I've always known that the joy that he gives me in doing the things that he's allowed me to do, the people that he, working through me, allowed another chance at living, was the most majestic profession that one could choose. So I, like my colleagues here, Rex, go to work every day, thanking God that he lets me do what he lets me do, and he's blessed me to serve. Not because of me, but because of him and all of the things that he allows me to participate in for the people that we're serving. There's nothing more than that. So I'm grateful for this honor. I was very, very reticent, but I knew, as I told Reverend Scribe beforehand, as he has positioned, he presents me to acknowledge and to thank and render gratitude, and to make sure that you know, each and every one of you, the kind of mom I have, the kind of family I have, the kind of friends and colleagues I have, and that I, each and every day, I work for him. To God be the glory. Thank you so much for this honor and the privilege of this association going forward with Colonel Dyess, with the Symposium, with the board, and with the Medal of Honor winners, and with my fellow honoree. Thank you so much.
What she has done in Augusta is world-class in every dimension. And I now want to turn the mic over to Linda Tucciarone, please.
My husband and I arrived in Augusta, Georgia, in New Year's Eve, 1976, coming from New York. And from that day forward, we, though arriving as strangers, we were taken in by this community. And I am now, like it or not, in Augusta. And certainly my children are. Well, I've been asked to tell you a little bit about how Heritage began. And the story starts with two things. One is that our pastor challenged the student and staff at the school I was working at with the idea of dreaming big in the Lord. I was in my 40s at the time, and I was getting restless. You know, the 7-year itch, I guess, not about marriage, but about what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And so I began to ask the Lord, you know, what is the next thing for me to do? It was at the same time that I met a young lady, 5th grader, Ebony, I was tutoring her, and I asked her what was her dream, and she said, I want to be a nurse. And then she said, she volunteered something that changed the course of my life. She said, my mama doesn't want me to be like her. Now, I've never met Ebony's mother, but Ebony's mother has never left my life, and that thought. Because though Ebony's mom and I would have be very different on many different levels, we had this one thing in common. We had the heart of a mother. And so my daughter, who was at that time at UGA following a very similar academic path as mine, I would say the same thing to her. I don't want you to repeat my mistakes. And so I thought to myself, what if Ebony's mom had the ability to make a choice about where to send her daughter to school? This is now 1998. The first Supreme Court decision on school choice didn't occur until 2001. It was largely not being done in the United States. And so this idea of an urban Christian school began with Ebony's mother. So as that idea that seed began to be planted in my life, I went to the only people I knew who were in urban ministry, and that was Jan and Finn Hitchcock. And if you know them well, and they're here tonight, I said, how'd you like to start an urban Christian school? And if you know them, they said, sure. How do you do that? Well, we discovered together how to do that. Phone calls, visiting other schools around the country, and step by step, we figured out how you do it. Articles of incorporation, etc. When we held our first fundraiser, to which many people attended, we did not have a building, we did not have a curriculum. Our first teacher, who is here tonight, Holly, had not been even found about. And yet this city, because God was working in their hearts, began to support this idea of an urban Christian school. A question I was asked to address was, what were the difficulties in this journey? Well, my mentor, it was Dr. Bernard Gant, a gentleman who had started several of these schools in Alabama. And he told us, Jan and I and the other members of the board, that schools like Heritage would not close because they couldn't do the job. They would close because of the funding. We raise 85% of our budget every year through God working in the hearts of people, not only in this community, but across the country. And the best day of my year, every year, was June 30th. As that was the end of the fiscal year, we made a budget, and then the worst day of the year was the next day. Was July 1st, when we had to start it all over again from ground zero. But the Lord never failed us, and He continues that even under the new leadership, not to fail this endeavor, because it's the Lord who started this school, who has provided everything we've needed, from people to resources and buildings. What is my delight? What were the highlights of our time at Heritage? Well, certainly, God providing some incredible buildings to be in. As you all know, we're in the historic Houghton School. That was quite an adventure, and so unexpected to have nearly 40,000 square feet in which to build a school. When we entered the school after a year of renovation, we had only 69 students, and we have now over 250 in that building in grades K to 8. But the greatest highlight is the children themselves. You know, what we do at Heritage is foundation work. If you've ever built anything, you know that it's not glamorous. It's really hard work. No one goes by and admires the foundation of a building, but without a rock-solid one, whatever's put on top of it is not going to last very long. So what we do is lay a foundation of faith and academic achievement, and when the children leave us, they begin to build a house on top of that. And we have seen some magnificent houses built with our grads. It's been an incredible opportunity. Well, what's next for Heritage? I am retired. There's new leadership, and we do, the board of directors is currently undergoing planning for a new strategic plan, but it will continue to do the work that it has done all this time, and meeting the needs of, ever-rising needs of families in Augusta, for them to have a choice about where to send their children to school. The school intends to expand the type of needs that are being met, and I just look forward to seeing what that is going to be, and to say that one of the hardest things for me to do in my tenure at Heritage was to receive some incredible gifts, and to say, what, I can't give you a gift. And it is my hope that the work that's been done that at Heritage Academy for the community of Augusta is the expression of gratitude to all those people who have contributed to the school.
Thank you. My wife Connor and I went to that Heritage Academy about 15 years ago and watched those kids in the classroom. They were so enthusiastic, they were so involved, they were so interested. We were absolutely blown away. It's one of the great memories that we've had since we've been here to Augusta. We love the place. The gift they get is a beautifully mounted Medal of Honor medal in pure silver that was run off by the U.S. Mint about 15 years ago. They don't make them anymore, so it's kind of a special gift, and we hope that you'll have it in your house for a long time. We're now. There it is. You've seen it before. I think most of you have. And at the bottom, we put the names of the people that we have honored and will honor. And on the top, in crystal, we have the three medals: the Medal of Honor, the Carnegie Medal, and the Boy Scout Award, the Eagle Scout Award. And that is always upstairs. And by the way, when we finish here, you're welcome to go upstairs and take a look at the Dyess display, or the Dyess exhibit. It's worth 5 or 10 minutes of your time if you haven't done that before.